no nothing. And so I had to do everything from the ground and the outside. And, you know, it would have been really nice to see some of that stuff in action, but I just got no response from those guys at all.
Really? Don't you know somebody in there, or that was years ago when you did those first films?
Say it again?
Don't you know somebody inside there, or was that years ago when you did those first films, those series of first films in '97 or '98, and whenever you did them?
Well, you got to remember, in '95 through September 10th, 2001,
right,
everything was all different.
Right.
Yeah. And they weren't so worried about security and not only that, but liability.
Right.
And they were considerably more cooperative back then than they are these days. And, you know, over the course of making those films, I developed some relationships with those railroaders, and that helped me to do other things. And what's interesting now is I don't really get any cooperation from the railroads officially, but I have so much feedback. I get so much email and Facebook messages from railroaders who are on the job that'll tell me, oh, I really liked your last video. Let me know if you have any questions about anything in the future, from engineers and conductors and signal maintainers. It's really a nice thing. So I've developed quite a list of what I call railroad insiders that I can go to and ask questions of now. So it's a huge help.
More of an off-the-record situation, which is, like I said, it's limited liability as far as the railroad's concerned. So, but it's good that obviously your videos make an impact on people, and they're really something. As far as a YouTuber, as far as YouTube videos, as far as anything goes to Railfan, you are number one as far as how your footage is, your narrating, everything. I mean, there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of good footage to see different areas, but as far as the finished product, I think yours is still number one. No one's topped you at all.
It's very nice of you to say. You know, it only took me 40 years in the TV production business to finally make this pay off.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a friend of mine who works for WBZ in Boston. It's one of the bigger radio stations. She's an anchor. She's been doing it for 35 years, and she listens to the show a lot.
WBZ?
Yeah, WBZ, and she listened to the show I think a year ago, and she said your voice is amber gold. As far as
oh gosh, how nice! That's a nice compliment. I like that from a broadcaster too.
She's been in it 30 years, so I mean, she's really a picky broadcaster. You know, I mean, she's been anchor for. She does anchors. She's between. Name's Lori Kirby. So, all right, we're ready to go on the air, Danny. I think.
Ready to go on the air in just about a minute.
He's just got to do his weather.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do my weather real quick.
And he's gonna do something really quick on blood drive, and we'll be ready to.
Yeah, and then I'll bring you on as soon as I get that done.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Middleboro in Review. It is the 13th of February, 2022. It is Super Bowl Sunday, once again. A lot going on today. We have a guest this morning, Danny Hartman of Distant Signals. Will be talking to us in just a few minutes. But first, I want to get the weather out of the way. here. So weather for today, 31 degrees. It is snowing outside currently. And it will do so for a couple of hours and throughout the day. 6 to 10 o'clock, I think, is where it's going to be snowing the most, and then a little bit throughout the day as well. About 3 inches of snow that we are expecting here in Taunton. Tomorrow, 24 degrees and 7 for the high, for the low tomorrow night. So that is Middleboro and Taunton, 31 degrees, 33 for the high today in Taunton. Driscoll, North Dakota, 6 in the negative. It's -6 today, and that is the low for tonight. 31 for the high today, 13 for the high tomorrow in Driscoll, North Dakota, and it's a little bit warmer in Driscoll, Texas, but not too much warmer. 34 degrees right now, 66 for the high today. So that is your weather report for today. And also, we have blood drives coming up. The next blood drive will be at Kalanick Community Health Center, 5 Wally Kruger Way, Bridgewater, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., Thursday, February the 17th. Again, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can make an appointment and to give blood. Very important to do so. The Red Cross is at historically low levels when it comes to blood drives. All right, so that will do it for the weather and blood drives. And Dawn, good morning.
Yeah, one thing as far as we were driving in, the roads are clear. Nothing's really impacted the roads. Looks like the snow was on the grass and on the vehicles. So just keep, just make sure you're safe. We did go down Thompson Street, 105, and looks like the snow was starting to develop on the roads at that point. But let's hope this is just a wet snow and doesn't impact our roads too well. So just be careful. It's a small storm, but you don't want any loop-de-doos, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So we're going to say good morning to Danny. Good morning, Danny. How are you? I'm great. Great to have you back on the show once again here.
This is the second Super Bowl show you called in, because it was a year ago. You called in the first time.
I thought, well, God, it's been a whole year. And the last Super Bowl was considerably more exciting for us here in Tampa than this one is.
Yes, yeah. We talked to you in September too, real quick, but it was the first time you called in was Super Bowl Sunday. That was a great interview, and we really appreciate you taking the time, getting up early to call. I know between your work schedule and what you do as far as putting the films together, and all the people that want your time, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Don.
Well, I'm always happy to talk to you guys. You have a very unique show there, and being a broadcaster myself, I love the radio aspect of things, and I still maintain that radio is the funnest of all of the broadcasting, sectors.
Yeah, you're right about that. The level said, Joey. I don't know, but the owner, the previous owner, said that at a Christmas party a few years ago, that talk radio is the future of radio, as far as, because a lot of people, as far as like radio for music and rock stations and whatnot, a lot of people are going to their own devices for their music choices. But as far as shows like this and unique shows, out of the box shows per se, you can't get that, and you can look for that on YouTube, but it's, I don't know, you really gotta look, I guess. It's not like a weekly schedule thing. Yeah. Right. Joey?
Okay, so the first question I wanted to ask is, what has Danny Hartman of Distance Signals been up to since we last spoke?
Trying to make videos as much as possible. I have a whole list of ideas that I've been trying to work through, and I'm still working full time, in the broadcast business, so that takes up most of my time during the week. But I do have, some chance to get away and take a day off here and there, and the weekends and the like. I've done a few videos since we talked last. I think I got I don't know if I had finished locomotives back to back when I talked to you guys last, but I got that one done because it was funny because I get so much email and comments on the YouTube channel, and I was getting this question just incessantly from folks. Can you tell me why they run one locomotive pointed forward and one locomotive running backward? And I've been rail fanning so long that I never even thought about that question anymore. And I thought, well, that is kind of weird when you think about it. They often have one of their engines, if they're just running two or three or four, at least a couple of them are running backwards in the concept. And what's the reason for that? So I delved into that and started trying to get the explanations for that from railroaders and other rail fans that I know and folks. And I just went out and shot as much stuff as I could and ended up putting I think it was about a 22-minute video together on that, and that has just been stupendously popular. I'm nearing 1 million views on that. And, that's really just been a real popular video. The next thing I did, in July and August, I started working on a video about the auto train, what happens to it when it gets in its terminal. Of course, I shot mine on the Sanford end down here in Sanford, Florida, near Orlando, where the auto train terminates in the south, and got a lot of help from different folks on that. I spent a couple of days in the auto train terminal. The cool thing about Sanford, I don't know anything about Lorton on the Washington end, but the cool thing about Sanford is there's a crossing at the very bottom of the yard that you can, and it's got I think all 8 yard tracks cross this road crossing, Persimmon Avenue. And you can just stand right there on public property and virtually watch the entire auto train switching operation right there. When they bring the train in the morning and start breaking it apart and putting the passengers out on the platforms and then start unloading the cars, you can see almost all of it from public property, which is a great rail fanning advantage there. And you can do the same thing in the afternoon when they start putting the northbound train together and putting the passengers on, the cars on, and everything. So I decided to do a video about that, and that's been fairly popular. What else? I did a video with a friend of mine, Woody Harrison. He for over 20 years now, he's been holding a rail fan kind of get together. He calls it the Rail Fan Invitation, the Woody's Rail Fan Invitational Rail Fest, or something like that. And he invites friends of his and people he knows. And I got to join him this year again for the second time, and went on just a real bona fide train chase all over Northwest Georgia with them, and that was so much fun, and just getting to see different aspects of railroading up there. And of course, I had to make a video out of that. Let's see, what else have I done? Locomotive numbers. And this is a answer to questions that I've gotten. Why do locomotives have big numbers? Why do they have the numbers all over them and stuff? And I got into that. And that's been a fairly popular video. I did one on foreign power. I'm not a real foreign power chaser like so many rail fans are. I just I take them as I get them, and whatever's next is what I shoot and what I'm after. But a lot of rail fans really like the foreign power. Something that's they don't normally see. Any kind of variety is interesting. So we have a new flour mill in Tampa down here that is a huge operation that they get grain in now several times a week, and all the grain right now is coming out of Illinois up there, and it's coming off the BNSF, and so we're getting a lot of BNSF power in here, and so that gave me a chance to shoot a kind of an explanation about how foreign power works, how railroads exchange locomotives from one line to the next, and so that was a pretty popular video. I did that one in December. I'm kind of down in my numbers this year. I try to get out 2 videos a month, but I've only been averaging 1 a month because I've just been so busy with so many other things. But I hope to really get my game back up to normal and start getting out 2 a month in 2022.
Danny, that foreign power video was really good. That's something I'm really interested in. I liked seeing that, and like you said, there's something about hodgepodge concepts on a train. It just really gets me going as far as something that's not supposed to be. Oh yeah, and actually, just seeing different situations on like the Northeast Corridor when they're towing something. Like diesel under the wire, stuff like that. I look for all that crazy oddball stuff because it's something you don't really see as far as everyday stuff. And one of your videos showed was it CSX number 1? It was the office train, so that was cool to see that. Anyway, that office train that they have running around.
Yeah, that was in the back-to-back show.
Yeah, right. Right. That was a good catch. I
managed to catch that coming into Tampa. Apparently, when they first got that train all made up, they restored a lot of cars. CSX bought a lot of cars from private owners and refurbished them. They've got a big car refurbishing operation in Waycross, Georgia, and I think they also do some of it in Huntington, West Virginia. And they put together a really nice executive train. They souped up those old F40 PHs, those Amtrak engines, and they souped those back up and gave them a new paint job. They painted them in the B&O kind of heritage scheme. And kind of did the rest of the train that way, which kind of disappointed me. I was hoping they were going to do a silver road, but still, it's new and it is interesting. So that was neat. So a lot of folks turned out for that train.
Yeah, actually, those what they call them the P40s. They did a big rebuild at the MBTA on those because the newer trains. I'm not sure the name of the newer trains, but they're having issues, per se, as far as the emissions and whatnot. And they rebuilt a bunch of those old P40s anyway. That's what I think that's what you called them. But those seem to be the workhorses of here. And they painted them all up, and they look really nice. They look like brand new trains, but they just went back with that. Then the newer trains didn't really. Not cutting the mustard, and the MBTA bought about 40 of them. So, but they've been having problems with them.
Are those Siemens Chargers?
I'm not sure if they're the Chargers. The Chargers was MBTA, I believe. Not MBTA, Amtrak. No, so.
Okay.
Actually, I should have looked that up before I went on the air with those engines were. We run in 3 different kinds. So the only P40s, what you mentioned. They just did it, like I said, they rebuilt a lot of them, and they're pretty dependable, per se. And,
well, all of that old E&B stuff, if they do the refurbish on those and bring them up to spec on get them as close to emissions as they can and put the new microprocessor stuff. Those things just seem to run forever. CSX right now is on its third iteration of using its SD40s that it got from SCL contributor roads. I'm talking about L&N, and I'm talking about Seaboard Airline and Atlantic Coastline. Those things are just, they keep overhauling those engines. They just won't stop. They put new cabs on a lot of them now, so they don't look the same anymore. But it's the same old machinery running in there, and the underframes are the same, and it's just remarkable to see these 50-year-old machines still running and pulling out there on the line. That's what impresses me is the fact that these things are really museum pieces underneath the hoods, and they just keep on running.
Yeah, actually, there's a short line, Fall River Railroad. It does pretty much tankers from Quincy Shipyard to Braintree Terminal, and I know more about the routes. I don't know too much about the names of the engines. I think I got to work on that. But one of those engines that are running there, run every day, is from 1957. So it just goes to show that they really they really run them. It's a short line. I don't think the thing goes over 20, 25 miles an hour, but still though, it pulls a lot of it just sets everything up for CSX and Braintree, and then they roll it through Bridgewater, and then actually all the commerce pretty much from Fall River, New Bedford, Braintree goes through Taunton, goes to the town we're in as far as the way out to Framingham and points west and south. I think Joey's got a commercial coming up.
Yeah, we have a commercial coming up. Just want to talk to the people on the Facebook. We're going to have Danny on for another segment. And at about 7:45, we're going to have open lines for people to call in. I know a couple people wanted to call in, so we'll have some time for that too.
Give them the number.
Yeah, so the number is 508-822-1106. So at about 7:45 a.m., we're going to have people call in. We're going to have Danny on for another segment. When we come back, we are going to talk about, Dawn actually wanted to talk about Brightline. So we're going to talk about that when we come back here on Middleboro in Review. It is the 13th of February, 2022, and we will be right back here on Middleboro in Review on WBF 99.7 FM and 1530 AM. We'll be right back.
What's with the feedback?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Danny,
can you hear us? Okay.
we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of feedback on our end. I'm not sure.
Are you near radio? You're not near radio, are you, by any chance?
No, I'm just on the phone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
All right.
Well, we're trying to figure it out.
Do you think it's from these? Maybe I'll unplug these.
Yeah, I don't
plug
know.
them back in so I don't get yelled at.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's.
All right, I'll just try
or not. But
all right. That might be. It might be the.
But it might just be. It might just be something going on.
Sometimes we get feedback in the studio. Sometimes do you in all your years of doing broadcasting and whatnot, do you think earphones that sometimes attribute to feedback?
Well, if you're hearing it, I'm not hearing that feedback, so it's somewhere in your studio loop, probably.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
From the studio, so that feedback is probably coming through the line and not through your microphones, because I would hear that. I would think. Okay.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm also trying to find a happy medium with the volume. I know some people told me that they can't hear you too well.
We're dealing with 70s technology here.
So
Danny.
we're trying our hardest here.
The gerbils are tired in the basement.
We're gonna have you on for one more segment till about 7:45. Is that okay, Danny?
Sure.
All right, awesome. And for people on the Facebook, 7:45 we'll have open lines. Anything you want to talk about? We'll talk about that for the last 15 minutes of the show. I know a couple people wanted to call in.
Who said they wanted to call in?
Patrick Lasava, and I'm sure there'll be other people who want to call in too. And
who's Patrick? You know?
What?
Patrick? You know Patrick? Who's Patrick?
From Paul's show. Yeah, from Paul's show.
That ain't him? Coffee's delicious.
We got about a minute.
Oh, thank God for coffee. Oh my God, I love coffee. What's it looking like outside here? It's still snowing.
Yeah,
But,
we're gonna get about 3 inches.
No, the parking lot isn't covered. It's all wet. I don't think it's gonna affect the roads. The
Yeah.
truck's not even covered. The walkway's not covered. I think it's just.
Thank you,
snow
Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. Yes, we're gonna have open lines at 7:45 a.m. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from anyone else who wants to call in. All right, so let me get the going here. The bumper going. Okay. All right, your mic back up. Here we go.
I unplug these.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but
Sometimes.
we're trying. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we are back here on Middleboro in review. And as I turn the music down here, and we are going to talk here for another segment with Danny. So, Dawn, you had a question for Danny about Brightline.
Yeah, Danny. On Brightline. What do you know? What have you discovered as far as Brightline? I was in Melbourne in November, and they were.
Oh, hey, Don. Yeah, he's talking. Yep. Yeah. I used. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, Danny.
On the West Coast, and Brightline is over there on the East Coast. So I haven't really had a chance to get over to Brightline and see much over there and do much. I've been following their news releases and on our Facebook groups, on our Florida Rail Fans Facebook group, and the buzz about Brightline since they have now built their line from Cocoa to Orlando, and they're bringing in new train sets into Orlando now. The buzz has increased significantly, and so I am going to have to educate myself on Brightline, and I'm going to have to start making some trips over there. That pushed. I have a list of subjects that I'm going to make videos on, and just the sheer amount of email and social media traffic that I have seen over the past 30 days is going to push my my Brightline stories to the top of my list. So I can't speak fluently about Brightline yet. I wish we had some South Florida rail fans on the line here, because there's a couple of guys who just know it backwards and forwards. They've been over there in Cocoa and West Palm, just living this story, just watching them lay every single tie. And Brightline runs on the Florida East Coast Railway tracks that run, the FEC runs from Jacksonville to Miami. It just hugs the East Coast all the way down. And Brightline its concept was to put in a high-speed passenger service between Miami and Orlando. Well, you get up to Cocoa Beach there, about midway up the Florida East Coast, and there's no railroad track that runs from Cocoa to Orlando, so they had to build one. And they have done it. They have built that brand new track, brand new right-of-way, from Cocoa into Orlando, right near the airport. They've got their own yard and maintenance facility built in Orlando, and that's what they're going to start running. That's been their goal all along, is to create a privately run passenger service, and high speed, not high speed like European and Asian high speed, at 200 miles an hour. But they say they're going to try to attain 125, and that's a little up in the air yet as to how they're going to do that. But they, as I understand it, that line between Orlando and out to Cocoa, they don't have any crossings on it. So they're going to go pretty fast out there. Now, you get on the FEC and you turn south down towards Miami, there's a whole bunch of crossings. So that's still an issue for those guys. And they have had some accidents over the past few years, and there's some crossing accidents. So that's going to be a hurdle for them to get over. But I think just like everything else, as they continue to operate and the population gets used to seeing those trains on those tracks, they're going to become more cautious, and the word's going to get out. So I personally have very high hopes for Brightline. When they first announced what they were going to do, it was called All Aboard Florida at that point. And when they announced they were going to run a privately funded passenger service between Miami and Orlando, everybody poo-pooed it. That can't work. It'll never work. You can't make any money in passenger rail. It can't happen. And those people have done it. Now, as far as economic viability, the jury's still out on that. But they have gotten the thing built, and it's that in itself, in the state of Florida, the way things are today, the fact that they built a brand new railroad out there is remarkable.
It's funny you say that because
I'm looking for big things out of Brightline.
Oh yeah, it's funny you say that because it's a privately owned railroad, and as far as what I've been reading, there hasn't been any delays, and things are moving right along sweetly. I mean, we got delays on our Green Line extension up here in Massachusetts. New light rail being built. The Silver Line in Washington, what's called the Dulles, that's like 2 years behind. So it seems like all the public projects are always behind for some reason. But now you have a private one, and boom, they're right on target. They're moving right along. So it just goes to show between private and public the difference as far as your timetable. So I think they'll make money. I really do, because I've heard that they want to run into Disney World and the attractions, and there's a big debate on how they want to run the line, because Universal Studios wants a station, and SeaWorld wants a station, and Disney World wants a station. And I've heard they're making people pay for the bus too. The bus to Disney World from Orlando Airport used to be free. You didn't have to pay, but now they're making people pay. So I've heard that. So and then eventually on to Tampa too. I'm sure you've heard that they want to terminate in Tampa.
Well, there's no way you're going to get to Tampa. You can't do it. There's no room for you. But these guys, they surveyed a lot of land, a lot of territory, and that Atlantic coastline, Maine, between Orlando and Tampa is just right for the taking. Even if they're going to build a side-by-side action like they're doing, like the state of Virginia is doing on the RF&P up there, right next to CSX. I think that's a possibility. But I think these guys, if they can make their Orlando to Miami service work, they're going to get into Tampa. Because Tampa is a huge market that is untapped by rail service right now. We've got Amtrak, of course, but that's not really the kind of rail service that tourists take or anybody on a big vacation is going to take into Tampa on Amtrak. But the Brightline, if they can do what they're planning to do, they're definitely going to punch a hole in that market. Now, as far as the Disney connection, I think Disney's going to work with them to get that train into Disney, at least up to the Magic Kingdom, at least up to the gate here at Disney World, where you can get off and then get on either the monorail or the train and get to your hotel, or a bus, shorter anything else. I think Disney's going to get them into the park if they can at all do it. Because Disney owns all their own property there. That big highway that you take off of I-4 there to run up into Disney World, it's 4, 5, 6 miles up in there. Everybody thinks that's a public road. Well, that's all Disney private property. So they can do whatever they really want to do. Well, Walt Disney was a pretty slippery customer, and he bought up all that land in Central Florida right there, and Disney still has it. So I'm looking for big things out of Brightline because people are hungry for rail service in the state of Florida because there's just too much growth now. We're experiencing the same kind of things that you guys in the Northeast experienced 100 years ago. Now it's happening in Florida. Our metro areas are getting so big, so congested, that they're just trying every way they can to get rail service in, be it light rail or regular mainline rail. They're just really trying to do this in whatever fashion they can, and Brightline is going to be the pioneer of it, I think.
Okay, we have a few minutes. I just want to ask you one other question, and that is, what is coming up for Danny Distant Signals YouTube channel?
Well, this Brightline thing has kind of sidetracked me from my list this year. I had a list of things I wanted to do and places I wanted to go, and I will do those things. But right now, the first order of business is going to be Brightline. Getting over there, I got to get up to speed on that and start shooting some of that stuff. I want to try and range out this year. I've got a couple of Georgia locations I want to go to. I want to shoot the kaolin mining operation in Sandersville, Georgia. That is a really interesting operation. It's comparable to our Bone Valley here in Florida. They mine this stuff in Sandersville, in and around Sandersville, Georgia, in Washington County, called kaolin, and it's this stuff. I don't even know what to call it. It's a mineral that they mine, and they use this product in everything on Earth. And there's basically one family who controls this whole mining process up there. They ship it out in tank cars on the Norfolk Southern, and I want to do that. I had a rail fan invite me up to Winnipeg, Canada, to shoot some of the CN and other stuff up there. I don't know if I'll be able to get. I'm definitely not going in the winter. It'll have to be the summer before I go to Winnipeg, Canada. I have plans to do some more stuff in North Carolina. There's a lot of stuff in both Carolinas that I want to see this year. I want to take a passenger train trip, and I want to do a video from the aspect of being in a passenger train. Now, there's a couple of people who are doing that already on YouTube, and they're just doing superb jobs. So I don't want to just mimic what those guys do, because they're doing such good work. I cannot think of the guy's name who does those Amtrak things, but he is really, really good. So I don't think I can add anything to what he's done. So I want to do some other stuff, that's more involved with the switching and operational parts of Amtrak. He does mostly tourist type stuff, and there are so many travel videos on YouTube. There's no way I'll ever enter that market because it's completely saturated. But those are the things that I've got coming. I want to get to the West Coast this year. I want to get to California. I want to get to Cajon Pass. I want to get to the BNSF Transcon down there in. I have to look at my notes here real quick. But, the BNSF Transcon down in New Mexico, and I want to spend some time on that. I hear that any of those stations in New Mexico and through that area down there up to La Plata, Missouri, you can just stand there all day and watch intermodal after intermodal going probably 90 to 120 trains a day through there. So I just want to do that just for the sheer thrill of that. So those are some of the things I'm working on. But the next couple of months, you're going to see some Brightline content from me. But I hope to bring everybody up to speed on what Brightline is and what they're doing and what they hope to achieve. And I think Brightline is going to give me some access that I can't get from the other railroads. They seem like a very nice bunch of people over there. So I'm hoping to get a little bit of access. I don't know how much, but we'll see. We'll see. And that's pretty much what I've got on the docket for 2022.
And finally, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is to send me a comment on my YouTube page. Write comments in the comments section. I read those more than anything else. If you want to contact me directly, write to me, email me at railfandanny@gmail.com. It's railfandanny, that's one word, @gmail.com. I'll answer those. I read those. I discourage people from sending me Facebook friend requests because I don't have time to answer friend requests and B, read all the stuff that other people put on Facebook. So it just kind of clogs up the whole process. So I discourage people from trying to contact me on Facebook. But you can see my Facebook page, which is Railfan Danny on Facebook. But the email and the comments, the YouTube comment section are the best ways to get a hold of us.
Thank you so much, Danny, for calling in today. I want to thank you again. This is the second Super Bowl Sunday you've called in.
Hey, Joey, I want to ask Danny.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, as far as Brightline, when they get up and operational, you get to see how a railroad should run. And I think after the success of it all, people are going to look back at the commuter rails all around the country, and they're going to be like, well, we want service like this. Because everyone's so used to the commuter rails, especially here. I mean, they're all right, but they're not the best. They're always delayed. They're not, I don't know. So I think they're going to be putting their big boy pants on pretty soon, as far as, because once people start riding Brightline and find out how good it is and how clean it is and whatever, they got to demand it all over the country.
You're right, and I feel like you're right because these guys are building this thing from the ground up. They've designed it from the ground up. They've designed it from the aspect of being a tourist, long-distance passenger rail line that operates like a commuter line. So I really think that Brightline is going to create a new model for this type of rail in the United States, and I hope other places adopt their models and start building these lines lines in areas where there are abandoned rail lines. I hope they can start getting some of these trails back that they have given away to the trails people where these old rail lines exist, and put this type of commuter rail in. I think trails are nice and everything, but just giving away these big inner city main lines just because there's no current use for them, I think is a huge mistake. And I really hope that we can stop that practice and get some of these trails back for inner city passenger rail.
Like you said last time, we need those right-of-ways because there's not many right-of-ways. And
no, the right-of-way, especially in places like Florida and the Carolinas and Georgia and Massachusetts and all of New England, that's gone. You're not going to be buying any right-of-way for railroads up there. So we've got to take what's already there. And the way I understand it, these trails, they don't own those lines. Those are still in mostly those are still owned or controlled by either the railroads or the government, where the grants came originally. So I'm hoping we can get some of these back.
As far as the Green Line extension, there is a bike trail that runs parallel. And I think a lot of the lines, too, you can fit a bike trail maybe next to existing right-of-ways. So you can have the best of both worlds because they have room to work with. Even if there's a one-lane bike trail on the left part of the track and a right, that way people, get their bike paths and the line is still active. I mean, they'd have to put up fencing, obviously, but they got to be putting fencing up anyway as far as that. But there's ways of getting around that to keep everyone happy.
I think so, and I hope that the two can learn to coexist, because we really are going to need these lines for railroad in the future. We're really going to need them. So,
right? No, you're absolutely right on that. And like you said, we have to coexist because most people who like to bike, ride bikes, healthy and whatnot, thinking about the environment. Well, that's the leader of it all as far as the environment. We want to get people back on trains, but people are not. I've said this so many times on this show that people, you're gonna lose the people if the commuter rail service is bad. Breakdowns or whatnot, if the trains are cold, people are not going to return. And in a way, we lost a lot of them. We gotta kind of get them back. We kind of have to. In a way, we got to sell it to them because people are just going to drive in. And if the commuter rail's real expensive, and the parking's expensive, and I had a friend of mine got his catalytic converter cut out in Lakeville Station about maybe 6 years ago. So they'll build these railroads, and no one's going to ride it.
The catalytic converters are now being stolen off of cars. It's just crazy.
That's been going on for years. It's going on for years. So that's. I've been talking about this on the show as far as getting people back to ride the T, because no one's riding the T. Since the pandemic started, everyone's out. They're not dealing with it. They'd rather drive, and a lot of people don't want to wear a mask either, I think.
Well, that's the other thing. We've got to get on the other side of this pandemic. I know this is very controversial with a lot of people, but
right.
I'm sorry. This pandemic we've reached a point to where we now have pretty much learned to live with it. We know what the dangers are. We know what the risks are. We know what the preventions are.
Right.
We're just going to have to move forward and stop blaming everything on COVID. Every time I go to a drive-through or a store or a government, office, post office, airport or something, they always say, well, we can't do this because of COVID. Can't do this because of COVID. Oh, we don't have any water fountains because of COVID. We don't have, and I think people are tired of that excuse.
Right. And in a way, too, as far as public transportation, it needs to pick back up. I don't think we're going to see the subways jammed like they used to be. And I thought that was unacceptable because I remember riding in the subways going into Boston, and it was, shoulder to shoulder. I don't know why it's that bad. They maybe don't have enough cars, poor maintenance, whatnot. I mean, we have enough platform space in our subways, and especially the Red Line, for 6 subway cars. So that's all you get. But you really want to get these people off the road, and whatever you have to do it, you do it. Maybe drop the fares, maybe meet them halfway, cut the fares in half. That's what I would suggested sometimes, because to get into Boston from Middleboro, it's $12.75 one way. So you're looking at almost $35 with parking, and you might be able to get a parking spot in Boston for that.
A lot for a working person. I mean, that's a bunch of money.
Yeah, and plus it's like $5 to park or $4 to park. And if you're an older person and you're not apped up as far as your phone, then you get charged a surcharge. A lot of older people.
And I don't know what you guys are paying for gasoline up there right now, but down here we're paying $3.40 a gallon.
Yeah, we're about the same. I'm surprised you guys are that much, considering we're traditionally usually higher in Massachusetts. Go to Georgia for your gas. It's always cheap.
I don't know what's going on with it, because it just jumped up just a week before last. It was hovering around $3, and now it jumped up to $3.40, and you commonly see $3.49 a gallon. Yeah. So I never have understood the forces that drive the price of gasoline, but somebody understands it.
Right. I get these dirty looks from Joey over here. What's up, Joey?
We gotta take a commercial break. We're way behind. Danny, I wanna thank you so much for calling in today. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Danny, for calling, and hopefully I'll get a hold of you when I come down to Florida, and maybe we can have coffee. That'd be great, and talk about rail fanning and everything that I couldn't tell you, because we don't have a 5-hour show today.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Danny, so much. Yes. Yep. Bye-bye. Okay, that was Danny Hartman from Distant Signals YouTube channel. I apologize for the people who wanted to call in at open lines today. I said we were going to do open lines at 7:45. It did not pan out. I apologize for that. But make it up to everyone who wanted to call in next week, for sure. So everybody who wanted to call in today, do so next week, the February 20th edition of Middleboro in Review. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to finish off the show with the Today in Histories. We'll be right back. Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know we were that far.
I was going to try to, because I wanted to do open lines, because someone wanted to call in.
Oh.
And it didn't happen, so I gotta make it up to everyone next week.
Is he gonna be on next week? On Facebook?
Yeah, I'll make sure. Patrick, can you call in next week? Yes. Are you able to call in next week? First thing, 7 a.m. Let me get an ad here. 1, 5, and 2. You able to hear me? I'm not sure if people are hearing me, but Patrick, if you're able to call in next week, first thing, 7 a.m., we'll definitely get you on to start the show. I wanted to do open lines today, 7:45, but of course we had the guest. And it went over a little bit, so I do apologize for that. But we will do open lines next week. Anyone who wants to call in, 508-822-1106 is the number. 508-822-1106 is the number for next week. Okay, 3, 2, and 0. Okay, we're gonna come right back in here, and yeah. All right. Coming back. I just did one ad.
All right, well, you did
One
actually
PSA.
first time, right?
Yeah.
Go right now.
Yeah.
You gotta skip today in history.
No, not. No, we're doing it right now. All right, good morning, everybody. We're back. 7:58 here on WVBF. Again, to people who may have wanted to call in. Sorry we didn't get to that today. We had a guest on today. Very good guest, Danny Hartman, who called in today.
Danny Hartman, yeah.
Danny Hartman, yeah. That's why I said Hartman.
Hartman.
That's
Called
what
him Hartman last year.
I did call him
correct
Hartman.
you.
I did.
So, by the
I
way,
did.
Hartman.
I did. Yeah, the
And
first
then you
time.
were-
The first time he had called in.
And then you just called him Danny after that.
So
wanna mess up
next week we will have open lines. Anyone who wants to call in, any topic, please do so.
I just say one thing, that his time is unbelievably valuable as far as the films he makes and all the people who want to get in touch with him. So I'm really appreciative that he called in. And
Absolutely,
took
yes.
the time to call us. And I hope I get to meet him in person when I go down to Florida. But he's a wealth of knowledge, and you're going to see him national soon. The way he's going, he's going to be going national. He's going to be a household name pretty soon. And we can say we interviewed him.
That's great. All right. One today in history. 1914, in copyright history. In New York City, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, ASCAP, is established to protect the copyrighted musical composers of its compositions of its members. Birthdays: 1919, Tennessee Ernie Ford, American singer and actor, the original artist who wrote 16 Tons. Of course, 16 Tons was then covered by Johnny Cash. 1923, Chuck Yeager, American general and pilot, the first test pilot to break the sound barrier. 1950, Peter Gabriel, English singer-songwriter and musician. 1961, Henry Rollins, American singer-songwriter and actor. 1977, Randy Moss, American football player and coach. 1986, Aqib Talib. He is an American football player as well. And both of those last two played for the Patriots at one point in their careers. And deaths on this day: 20 years ago today, we lost the great country music singer Waylon Jennings. All right, that'll do it for today's program. We're back next week, February 20th, 2022. We will have open lines. So anything you want to talk about, open lines. 508-822-1106 is the number for that. And, we'll be back next week, February 20th, 2022. Have a great week, everybody, and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday.
Good interview. I don't know what all that noise is about.
I don't know either. I hope everyone could hear well on the Facebook. I did get a couple comments saying that it was hard to hear. So I'll have to go back and look, see how I can fix that.
Yeah. That's why you need to get the camera here.
Yeah,
And just, they can go back and check it out on YouTube.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And this will be on YouTube. This show will be on YouTube. All right, thank you, everybody. Next week, again, open lines. We'll have to start the show. So, bye, everybody. Have a great week and a great Super Bowl Sunday.